Welcome back to the Dialed In Podcast. I'm Mo. As always, I'm accompanied over here by Gene. And just to kick it off, there's no barrier to entry here, just a love for watches. So let's get dialed in. Gene, what are we talking about today?
Well, why don't we start off with the wrist check?
Ooh, always a master of ceremonies over here. I am not going to bury the lead. We're talking about watches and wonders, and in honor of that, I am wearing RIP as of yesterday, April 1st, the Celebration Dial OP from Rolex, and a controversial piece at that. It's got bubbles and colors all over it, and something that people thought was absolutely insane for Rolex to release. I was in every camp possible when it came to this watch until I saw it in the metal. Love it on the wrist. Makes me smile every time. Reminds me that watches don't have to be so serious. What are you wearing on your wrist?
Absolutely. I am wearing a Pepsi GMT, but the white gold version with the "If you know, you know" blue dial.
Love it.
Yeah.
Super sleek and useful for you because you're on a plane like every 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Wearing it with purpose and intention. I just made the trek from New York to LA. So it's serving its purpose. It's acting as a true tool watch and giving me the dual time zone.
Love it. And we got a lot to talk about with GMTs today, actually, with Watches and Wonders and Rolex's releases. But let's wait for the meat of the podcast to get into Rolex because I had a lot to say there. But
Rolex definitely made a splash this year at Watches and Wonders, and possibly worth just taking a step back and saying that for those that don't know, Watches and Wonders is the annual exhibition of luxury watch brands showing their latest innovations and models to the industry, retailers, collectors, and the media. So lots of launches this week. We were all eagerly anticipating them landing, and sure enough, right at midnight, and we were saying this a bit earlier to each other while we tried to keep comments to a minimum, just at the surprise and maybe the idea that this was not the typical way that things had been done at Watches and Wonders in the past, that all the launches, or most of them, happened right at midnight Geneva time.
it was nuts. Honestly, I did not expect to be inundated with like 70 Hodinkee articles at 6 p.m. Eastern time on March 31st. Or was it April 1st? March 31st,
I guess March 31st,
right? Yeah. That was very unexpected. We were obviously texting back and forth, but for everyone listening, and we're about to jump in right now, Gene and I haven't spoken about any of the releases we're going to talk about. Like, we wanted this to be as real, rapid reaction as possible. We got a lot to cover, so probably worth just diving in. Zenith, gross. Like, Chronomaster Sport is just a ripoff Daytona.
Yep.
And now they did it in blue ceramic, which I guess is the ripoff of AP, but it looks like plastic and it looks like low quality, like AliExpress kind of plastic. Like, I don't know what's going on at Zenith, but everything they did like 1 million blue ceramic watches this year. And in like every line they have, like the Defy, everything is just blue ceramic. And I saw there's a great meme, if anyone watches Arrested Development, or used to watch Arrested Development, and it was just like the meme of like, I'm afraid I blew myself. And I just couldn't stop laughing because, I mean, they just really went blue with everything. That was their shtick, and it fell so flat in my opinion. Now, I will say they had a God, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called the GFI, which is like this platinum $50,000 dress watch. Again, blue dial. Really stunning watch. Like, really, really stunning watch. But I'm not spending $50,000 on a Zenith ever. Ever. And I, again, talk about a person I'd like to meet. I don't even want to meet you. If you're spending $50,000 on a Zenith, something is very wrong with you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll say another, brand that we can touch quickly on that I thought fell a little flat for me was Tudor.
I think that's the perfect segue, though, Gene. So let's talk about why, though. Why do you think Tudor fell flat?
just nothing really came off the page for me. And I say page because this is all just photos and coverage that we're seeing on like Hodinkee and other blogs and on YouTube. I think the burgundy is meh. I think my favorite watch was actually the Black Bay 68, the blue dial with black bezel, but too large.
One thing I'll say there, though,
what's that
about large, and we talked about this with the Cubitus, like these are big brands, right? Like we're talking Tudor here, which obviously, as everyone knows is owned by Rolex, right? Like I think Patek releasing the Cubitus in 45 millimeters first, and Rolex's test brand, if you will, where they test everything out before they put it on the crown. They're going big, and I think what that's showing is that these big brands and powerhouses are thinking that the pendulum's going to swing back to big watches pretty soon, because we're getting pretty tired of small
inevitably,
watches.
But. I'm not ready for it to swing all the way back. I mean, I was never a person, even when large watches were a thing, that was into offshores or Panerais or anything like that. Just doesn't suit my eye on my wrist. But you're not wrong. I mean, I think it's a pretty obvious trend that's happening right now. I think the ship is starting to turn, and the pendulum is certainly swinging back the other way. We're definitely starting to see more 43, 44 millimeter watches. So something's certainly happening.
Agreed, and I think that is a great segue into Rolex. And the one thing I'll say is, actually, I'm going to parrot something back that I thought I was teeing you up for earlier, but you didn't really bite. But why is Tudor just like completely fallen flat this year? And it's exactly what we were talking about, is that they're owned by Rolex. And what did Rolex do this year? Rolex did a million things. Yeah. Not to be outdone by releasing an entirely new watch. And so, hey, little brother, ugly stepchild, you sit down quietly in the corner over there while we have our moment, right? You're not stealing any sunshine from us.
Literally,
And I think that's exactly why Tudor was just sort of meh. So with that, Gene, where do you want to start with Rolex?
I mean, the obvious place to start is the land dweller, but I don't know if you want to highlight. They did so many things this year, right? Updated models, discontinued models, but the land dweller is probably the most obvious place to start, just because of, it's the headliner, right? It's above the fold, top placement on Hodinkee for a reason.
Well, actually, let's step back, because you mentioned Hodinkee. So now let's just talk about something real quick. Let's start with the leaks. Yeah. Okay. First of all the leaks were right, which sucks. Which, like, something's going wrong over there. Like, what's happening? Rolex is the most secretive brand in, I would say, in all of luxury, in all of like just consumer products, even. Like a non-government entity. They are the most secretive of any of them, right? Everyone predicts everything every year, and no one's right. And now suddenly, like, every leak was accurate,
spot on.
And like I'm curious if they pulled the whole Roger Federer leak strategy, or tease strategy, I should say, only after they realized the leaks were out there were accurate. You know what I mean? They realized, someone leaked our stuff, so like let's lean into this, which I think would have been a good PR response to that. Is like, oh no, let's make it seem like we wanted everyone to kind of know about this before it happens. But when have you ever heard of Rolex teasing a watch with an ambassador or whatever they call them? They call them testimonies. That's what Omega does, right? And they do it over and over again. Yeah. And like, we're tired of it now. But like, why is Rolex stooping down to that?
Yeah, it's an excellent question, and I don't have the answer, obviously, but it's something that they chose to do. It does feel a little reactionary. I think because of the leaks, maybe some of that stuff was accelerated. But you're right. Certainly not the sort of standard way of Rolex. So,
and here's one more thing
yeah.
before we even get into the damn watch itself, which is the Land Dweller, right? But
Terrible name.
okay, well, okay, let's go there then. The name is so bad.
Yeah.
And by the way, like I'm not going to bear the lead. I like the watch, okay, and I got a lot of good things to say about it. But the name,
Yeah.
what the hell is a Land Dweller? Like,
I don't know.
like Sky Dweller, I get. Sea Dweller, I get. You know, these kind of names just like roll off the tongue. Land Dweller, maybe it's the double D in the middle, right? Like Land Dweller.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's awful. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what a Land Dweller is. It sounds like a Chinese knockoff of a Land Rover. I don't know what to think, honestly. Like it's really just it's upsetting, and I never want to call it the Land Dweller, so I hope it comes up with a nickname pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say is that before we're even talking about the damn watch itself, is like you know, Teddy Baldessar got the exclusive.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting, right? Like, how does Hodinkee not get that? No one has access to Rolex like that ever. And he was the chosen one. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, but that seems interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. There were probably more obvious choices to have kind of the first hands-on. I will say this: the story of the Land Dweller for Rolex is clearly in kind of the innovation and technology. And I think for that reason alone, Teddy's probably a really good choice. I think from a technical perspective, he is a watch nerd, and I say that in the best way possible. But he explains difficult and technical concepts in a plain English way that I think lands with people. So in that respect, I think Teddy was actually a really good choice. And so it makes sense to me, but you know, was surprised obviously that it was him. And then after I saw it, I was like, okay, I get it now. But that's kind of my perspective on it.
Yeah.
How about you?
What I learned from him is that, you know, the Land Dweller uses a Dynapulse escapement made of silicon that generates energy via rolling versus sliding.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not going to lie. I'm into watches for a lot of things, and I would be lying if I told you I understand every sort of element of a movement and what makes that so special.
Same.
You know, but
my impression in reading some of the press after the fact and getting some of the reaction, the perception in the world of people that are into the technical aspects of a movement say that this has the potential to be an absolute game changer. And I believe that, while I don't necessarily understand all the aspects of that, it's certainly the story that Rolex wants to tell, and I think they chose Teddy to tell it.
Yeah, and I think that leads into the watch itself, which is that, of course, if you're going to make this sort of groundbreaking, multi-patented, you know, game-changing movement for the industry and mass produce it at that, right, which Rolex is so good at, just mass producing perfection, it better damn well be in a new watch, right? Like don't just throw it in a date or something like that. You know, it's got to be a splashy. And to me, like, I love the callback to the oyster quartz. You know, the case design and the integrated bracelet. I think, yeah, sure, they're super late to the trend, right? Like of bringing back integrated bracelet watches, but I think they did a phenomenal job with it. I think the platinum one is egregious. I think there's no need for that, particularly in the first release. Like, I think that could have probably waited 5 years. But I will say that the rose gold version with diamonds, right, on the 36 millimeter is probably the best ladies watch to come out in, I don't know, the last 10 years. I know that's a really bold statement, but here's how I'm going to compare it, what I'm going to compare it to. Nothing I love more than seeing a woman wear a rose gold Royal Oak with a diamond set bezel. I think that is a stunning watch on literally any female. And this one, is the best competitor I've seen ever. I think because it's Rolex, right? And you see that I think it's something like they're at parity between men and women that buy Rolexes, right? Like 50% of their purchases are made by women, which is insane. And every watch brand would be just like foaming at the mouth to have those numbers.
That's an aspiration for other watch brands.
And now you have this unbelievable competitor to what I think is the, quintessential like ladies elegant timepiece, elegant and sporty, I should say. I think this is a knockout. This is going to sort of cannibalize even the Lady Datejust, the diamond set ones, and all the other stuff in Rolex's catalog. I think this is going to actually land better with ladies. Of course, all the ADs are going to be, swimming in calls this week for men, asking for the 40 millimeter steel version, of course. Yeah. But at the end of the day, and like sort of like taking this out 5 to 10 years, I really think this is the best selling ladies piece in the Rolex catalog.
Well, I'm going to deviate slightly from you, not on sort of the projected success of the ladies version of this particular watch, but I will say that in my mind, top tier women's watch is an AP, but the mini Royal Oak. But that's just my personal opinion, and so I know that's just to be impossible to get at the moment. But yeah.
No, I'm with you on that, and don't count Rolex out of that either, right? Like this is going to be downsized even further than 36, no doubt.
But let's talk about the elements of the watch. I will say for me, outside of the name, which I think is a miss, is the dial. I'll say that the honeycomb dial triggers my trypophobia. Which, for those that are unfamiliar with that, it is a phobia related to repetitive patterns, typically holes, but repeated patterns. So there's something about it that I find triggering personally. I would love to see this watch in some different dials, which I know will come eventually. But that was something that I didn't love immediately. Outside of that, I think the integrated bracelet is really nice. It does give me an echo Royal Oak. I think the whole watch itself as a men's watch is sort of competing with that now. So yeah, interested to see where this watch goes. But what I've seen so far, I feel like it's a great platform and canvas for some really interesting things to come.
I disagree that the dial is changing anytime soon. Okay. I think it's paramount to the watch. Like I think like that's like saying that next year the Royal Oak is not going to have a tapisserie dial. That's
interesting.
That's like I think they created an entirely new dial. It's not honeycomb, like as much as it may be referred to as honeycomb. Like if you look back at vintage Rolex and what their honeycomb dials look like, this is completely different, right? Even the numerals that are used on the dial are different than any other numerals that are used on a sort of an Explorer or an Air King or wherever else you have numerals across the Rolex catalog. To me, I think the dial, the integrated bracelet, all of it is the watch, right? For the foreseeable future. And then maybe we get different color variations and things like that. And obviously I could be wrong. I know nothing, right? Let's be honest. Like no one knows anything about what Rolex has.
You want to put a friendly wager on it. I'm willing to wager that by next year's Watches and Wonders, there'll be different dials.
You're saying different pattern dials, right? Not just different colors.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll take that bet any day.
Okay.
No way.
Let's do it.
No way next year there's a different dial.
Okay.
You heard it here first, guys. All right, let's get off the worst named watch of the year for sure.
Yes.
But just to be clear, I did ask my AD already for the steel 40.
Wait, how did she respond? Because I know your AD as well, obviously.
We share the same Rolex AD, yes. And she responded simply, okay. I wrote this long nice message and whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like I made a couple of jokes in it and all I got was an okay.
Wow. Well, at least it wasn't like a laughing emoji or something like that.
True, which I've received in the past. for every version of the Le Mans I've asked for. Which, by the way, now that I just mentioned it, let's just mention that new off-catalog rose gold Le Mans. Damn.
Well, let's talk quick hits, like just things we love. I love that watch. I think it's beautiful. I think it looks better in the rose gold than yellow gold. I like it better in white gold. So my sort of top three of the Le Mans is white gold, rose gold, and then the yellow gold. But
100% with you on that.
Yeah. But it looks great. Love it in the Ever Rose. I also am a big fan of, I've seen it called the John Mayer 2.0. Yellow gold Daytona green dial with gold subdials.
I hate it.
You hate it.
I love the John, like whatever we're going to call the original John Mayer.
Right.
I love it. I love the simplicity of the dial, the subdials blending into the sort of larger dial, and like it's a lot of green against the yellow gold. I think that's like quintessential Rolex. This yellow gold subdials, I don't know, it's BS, man. It's almost like a money grab to me. Like but the hype around the John Mayer, now you want a 2.0, and it's I hate it.
I like it better than the original, so we'll agree to disagree on that. I have a feeling we might disagree on this too, but I want to say the Daytona in yellow gold on Oyster Flex with the Tiffany blue dial, I absolutely hate it.
I love it. So you're right. And that is the second watch that I asked to be added to my list with our shared AD.
Did you also get an okay for that too, or was that a laughing emoji?
I got an okay for that too. I will say that it was jarring in the press photos, and I was like, why didn't they do that in white gold, like the yellow gold and turquoise? First of all, can we just not call it Tiffany blue? I hate that.
Fair. What are we calling it then?
It's a turquoise lacquer dial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was terrible in the press shots, but then once I started seeing people put it on their wrist at Watches and Wonders, and you saw it in like natural light and not all sort of like photoshopped and done up, I fell in love. Like over and over, I kept seeing that watch, and I was like, it's a callback to like the beach Daytonas, but sort of more modern era. Yeah, it's hypey. Turquoise maybe is referred to as the Tiffany dial by literally everyone and their mother. So I get it, and that there's sort of that hype around it, but separate and apart from hype and Tiffany dials, whatever everyone calls it, I think it's a beautiful watch, and I want it.
Well, I won't be fighting you for it. Let's just say that. But can we agree potentially on the new versions of the 1908?
Probably
love
not.
them. Love them.
So I love the new bracelet.
Yes.
Whatever. I can't. It has some name with an S. Setimo.
Like Setimo, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. I probably totally butchered that, but I believe it's Setimo.
It's beautiful. I don't want that from Rolex. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, am I ever going to buy the all yellow gold 1908 on a bracelet? No.
Fair.
It's cool. It's cool to see. Like, I think it's a beautiful watch.
Yeah.
It's just not what I want from Rolex. I don't know.
Okay.
I want very specific things from different brands, which you can hear, I guess, as I talk about it, as each brand. But like, I don't know. It's cool. It's great. Maybe if I see it on someone's wrist, I'll be like, that's cool watch. I can't believe you bought that. Why'd you buy that? What Daytona are you trying to get?
Purchase history.
But listen, the fact that Rolex came out with 2 new bracelets in the same year,
yeah,
wild, unheard of.
I think the Setimo is what a like a 7-link bracelet.
I think so.
Yeah, I agree. I like the bracelet a lot. I will say I like the black dial better than the white dial. I still like the platinum with the sort of icy blue guilloche dial on kind of either the brown or black alligator best of all. But I did think, to the extent that they're trying to make the 1908 a thing and make it work in ways that the Cellini did not, I thought that the bracelet here went well towards getting kind of the critical mass to adopt the 1908 and shows that they're kind of investing in it. So we'll see.
Okay, my last piece of Rolex novelties here is the Tiger's Iron GMT. I did not expect to love this watch as much as I do. And so listen, from tools for Pan Am pilots to like stone dials and precious metals, the evolution of the GMT is like absolutely wild, but I'm kind of here for it. This watch is stunning. I don't know, the all rose gold rupier before, with the sort of standard dial was essentially like a drug dealer watch to me. Like, I don't know, it was a whatever. Like, it was just someone wanted a gold Rolex, and they were always selling below retail on the secondary, and I guess people bought them so they could say they had a gold Rolex, which is cool. And I don't know, to me the two-tone had more sort of historical significance, and it was cooler. It was more aesthetically pleasing to me. Again, this is all my opinion, so don't come at me if you own the original all rose rupier. But now I think this is one of their nicest pieces, like with that stone dial, with that Tiger's Iron. It's crazy good looking with the tones of the dial with the rose gold. What do you think of that watch?
It's really funny because I feel like most of the time we agree generally, I'll say, but with Rolex this year we are totally divergent. I hate this watch. Damn. The rose gold with the I guess it's called Tiger's Iron. It looks like a 70s porn star watch to me. I don't know. It's just it's throwback and retro in a way that I don't really appreciate at the moment. Maybe I'll look at it in person or see it on wrist somewhere, and I might feel differently. But just looking at the pictures, I don't like it. I just don't like it. So another piece that we won't be fighting over, which we have done in the past, but this is one that you can kind of have on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably just look at it. I don't need to own it just yet, at least. Let me get that turquoise lacquer dial Daytona and the Land Dweller first.
Is that your top
choice?
But
as we're just rounding out,
next in the queue,
as we're rounding out the Rolex novelties, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention the OPs and the GMT white gold with the first ceramic dial the Rolex has done. Lefty at that, right? So I think one on the OPs, meh. I mean, I like the pistachio green.
Yeah.
It's really calming. It's cool. It's pastel. That's cool.
That's my favorite one.
I don't know.
I guess 3, but yeah, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not striking. It's just kind of it's like an Oris release, or like
it is. It is like when Oris released those kind of pastel-y Easter colors. This sort of lands in the same bucket for me.
Yeah, it's cool. If I see it on someone's wrist, I'll say that's an OP. And then the lefty white gold ceramic green dial, GMT, like that is cool. Again, one that I will probably not go out and buy, but love that it exists.
Had I not already purchased the Pepsi GMT in white gold, I think I would have considered the green. But I think at that price point, regardless of how cool it looks, $46,000, I don't see myself doing it, but I do like the watch. I think it looks great with the green dial.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we've taken everyone past an hour now. Lot to cover. Appreciate you guys sticking around. Maybe in the future we'll separate this kind of stuff into 2 episodes. But we wanted to react really quickly for everyone and get this out there. So it's just past midnight on the East Coast. April 2nd, late night for me and Gene's in LA. So thanks for sticking with us and sitting through a largely unscripted episode. And on that note, subscribe, do all the things with the podcast platforms you do, review us, rate us, and check us out on socials at the Dialed In Pod. And we'll be with you next week with some fun updates. But come back with comments and tell us why we're wrong about a million things we said today. We're here for it.